Content warning. The stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana, but you'll see that Alana is not sitting in that chair, or you won't see because you're listening. But you know who is? Amanda McKoy Flanagan. She's a native New Yorker turned Coloradan. Is that it? Coloradioan?
Coloradan. I think Colorado.
I love that. She masterfully combines urban insight with a nature-inspired philosophy in her approach to love and loss. She's a certified intuitive loss and empowerment coach, writing coach, energy healer, and retreat leader, a very talented retreat leader. Amanda is also the author of an award-winning inspirational memoir, Trust Yourself to Be All In, Safe to Love and Let Go. And she's the host of a podcast called Soul Rising, which I was on. And she just won an award. It was the top podcast in the death and grief space for 2025 from Talk Death Daily. So empowering individuals to navigate life's toughest transitions with clarity, healing, and creative expression. Amanda focuses on holistic wellness, guiding clients toward emotional and spiritual recovery by releasing trauma and regaining balance. Offering a transformative approach to living fully, Amanda provides actionable insights for overcoming challenges by embracing the power of one's own inner wisdom, natural resilience, and capacity for change. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I love this. So holy shit, you've been through a lot.
Yeah. I must have signed up for it. I believe I was like, you know what? I got some lessons to learn in this next life, and however they come to me, I'm willing to take the hits and find that resilience, build myself up, whatever those lessons are. I'm still finding out. I have a bit of an idea.
It's so funny. I feel like, because like I'm a woo Jew, like I'm spiritual and I'm Jewish and I like science, but I also love like, this morning I pulled cards, asked for guidance, all the things.
Yeah.
So it's funny because like, when my mom died is when I really became like more spiritual. Like I had a dark night of the soul and a spiritual awakening. And what I learned was like, you like your soul is here, you chose this body, this life, whatever. And I was like, I better be doing the work for this soul that we go into stardust or whatever happens next. Like I am doing the work in this lifetime because I better come back as a house cat.
Yeah, seriously.
Like an indoor house cat
dog.
to a rich lady who doesn't let me outside and feeds me gourmet sushi.
Yes, by hand. Totally.
So I guess like let's talk about the shit you've been through. So
Okay.
you've lost 5 close family members within 3 years after moving across the country, starting right away. And the last loss in that I don't know what, trifecta, quadfecta, the fifth loss, I don't know what that is. The trifecta plus 2 was your brother.
Yeah.
And that impacted your marriage.
Yes. Yeah, it was wild. So we moved from New York to Colorado in May of 2015. And at the end of May, my Aunt Louise died. She was my brother's godmother. Then, and I flew home for that. I think I've flown home to New York more times for funerals than for, pleasant trips or vacation.
And is there like, sorry, just a quick question, because I know you're in Colorado and you're from
Yeah.
New York. Is there direct?
Yeah.
Phew.
Yeah. Nonstop.
Must got some points.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. It was crazy.
Okay, so your aunt died.
Yeah, I'll never forget that drive to the airport. It was like pouring. I had no idea what the streets were. I couldn't see anything. It was I ran a red light. Some guy it was crazy. I'll never forget that. But these traumatic experiences, they just stay. It's crazy. So, so my aunt dies, and then who was next? My mom's first cousin died the end of that year, and I believe I might have the timeline wrong. And then my aunt died the following year, and my cousin died then a year after. So we're like, actually, maybe I can't even remember, but it was all under 3 years. My cousin died after my aunt. That was my cousin's mother, my Aunt Rosie. She was my godmother. My mother's 2 sisters. And then 4 months after my cousin died, my brother died. And 3 out of 5 of those are drug and alcohol related, which is rampant. I'm sober, just like through my whole, like drugs, addiction, mental illness, through just kind of a thread through my entire family. But I didn't really deal with any of the grief. I didn't really have the words. I didn't have the language. I really didn't know what it meant. I had a boyfriend who died when I was 8 months sober. He was also 8 months sober. He overdosed as well. I have a lot of experience with overdose death. I kind of say I specialize in death, grief, death by addiction. So, when he died, like I felt it, like I knew, like I kind of hit the floor. I had an emotional breakdown. I've had three major emotional breakdowns, all due to loss in recovery, which I've not had to drink over. But he was the first one that I got like that glimpse of like, what is this like? Oh,
Wait,
this,
hold on. I'm interrupting. Was
yeah,
that the first loss you went through sober?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
just want to really just sit with that for a sec because I'm also sober and I chose to cut out. I addiction also runs in my family. My dad was an addict and I cut out drugs and alcohol when I learned my dad was going to die. And so I went through all of my compound grief and loss and death sober. So I want to, I mean, maybe we come back to it because you're telling your story, but I want to come back to that about the difference between dealing with grief sober
Mhm.
versus in usage or living with active addiction or numbing.
That's a
And we
great,
can come back to that. I just want to
yeah,
just that's a really important thing I want to focus on.
totally, totally.
Okay, so the first time you really felt it was when your boyfriend died.
Yeah, and in my active days, I never really thought about consciously like committing suicide, killing myself, or dying by suicide, I should say, right? Um, but when Mike died, the thought crossed my mind, and it like totally freaked me out. And I didn't know what to do, and we could talk more later, but I had asked my sponsor what do I do, and she said just keep working your steps, keep in your recovery, start sponsoring women, yada yada. But I didn't dive into it. I was in therapy for like a minute. I really didn't like that therapist. She was like my first therapist ever. Um, it just wasn't a good fit. But I didn't really even know the words grief or grieving, or like it just wasn't in my repertoire. I had,
Yeah.
grandparents died when I was like 17 and 12. And, so I've had loss before, but nobody spoke to me about it. Nobody talked to me about it. So when everybody started dying, after I moved to Colorado, which in and of itself was a huge loss because I had an identity crisis like nobody's business. New Yorkers, we're proud. There's a joke. How do you know somebody's from New York?
They tell you.
They tell you the first 5 minutes,
Yeah.
right? It's the first line of my bio. I'm guilty. So I had no idea how to grapple or express or talk about like as a kid, 12, I hadn't have the language. Nobody sat and talked to me about it. So when everybody started dying and I was in this like crisis of like, who am I? This like crazy existential crisis, everything was just like magnified. But I was dealing with my husband and his PTSD, and my kids were babies. They were 1 and 3. So I was just like, surviving, right? I was just living. I was trying
Mm.
to assimilate into a new foreign culture and place. And I mean, it's still obviously United States, but very different. And I kind of just didn't even, it's like, okay, yeah, like they're older or whatever. I mean, my cousins was 4 at the end of 2017. I was on vacation in Hawaii. I got a call, and I remember feeling a lot of relief for her. Like she suffered a lot, major mental illness, addiction issues her whole entire life. I feel like there are some people who maybe are just they're just not meant for this place. It's just too harsh for them. She was like that. So I kind of felt relief for her, and I didn't go into the grieving space because I felt like I can feel that she's okay, that she's better than okay, that she's finally free, right? So it's kind of like in a weird way, like happy for her, which is kind of strange, but I felt that. 4 months later, my brother dies, and it just kind of blows the lid off of everything that I was not consciously trying to tamp down and keep down, but I was. I mean, whether you talk about your feelings or not, they're still going on. The emotions are still going, there's stuff going on a subconscious below the surface level. And mine manifested in a way where 5 months after my brother died, I told my husband, I don't love you. I don't think I ever loved you. I think my choice to marry you was just like really like it was a good choice. I was almost 30 years old. My friends were getting married. They were having babies. He's a successful guy. He's a fireman. He's like my hero. He's gonna save me. Yeah, I'm a year sober. He's 11 years sober when we meet.
Oh, he was already sober.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
He's 12 years older than me. So he got sober at 28 and I got sober at 26 and we met when I was 27. So um he was 39. I remember I asked a friend, I'm like, who's that Jim Flanagan? I'm like, and how old is he? I'm like, if he's under 40, I'll go for it, And he was 39. And that poses a lot. It's a whole different discussion, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of other
I get it.
stuff
My
about
husband's 9 years older than me.
yeah,
I get it.
it's a thing. It's a thing.
We are
So
very similar.
very, and with our husbands having their
Yeah.
health issues, right? Um, so yeah, so he was like, wait a minute. He's like, your brother died like 5 months ago. He's like, do you think that might be playing a part? And now being sober, I was 12 years sober at this time. I knew there's probably something else going on here. And he says, do you want to go to marriage counseling? I was like, okay. So we go.
Oh, wow. How aware is he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Kudos. Jim, is his name Jim?
yeah, yeah.
Jimmy, good job.
And I was like, okay. Well, I had been asking him to go to marriage counseling for a while before all of this.
But I still, though, I'm just,
Still, I
I
think
think
it's
take the
really,
win because
yeah,
I got to counseling because I said I'm going to make us an appointment. Here's who I'm going to make it with, or you can tell me who you want, but I'm making it, and you can show up or not.
usually
Yeah.
it's why, he
Yeah.
does it. But so we go and I was really kind of dead set on this. Like I felt like it was such like a soul and spiritual connection. It was like a thing. It was like I'm not supposed to be with you. Like I really believed it. Like really believed it.
Yeah.
But and I remember telling my therapist, "You're not going to make me stay." I was like mad at her, and she goes, "Amanda, it's not my job to make you stay." She goes, "It's my job to help you get well." She goes, "Give it like a year, get healthy, get well, see what's really going on, and if you still feel this way, then go." So I said, "You know what? My kids deserve that. I did it for my kids,
Hmm.
right?" So, we go and I learn about this whole, she really shows me a lot about what I call the great myth. And it's generational family dysfunction, basically. It's a message that told me that everybody leaves me, everybody hurts me, everybody dies, which I mean, everybody does die, but that I should not ever go all in. I should always protect my heart, love a little less. I was literally told that you should love a little less in relationships so that you have like the upper hand, so that when you get hurt, it like makes no sense. It makes no
Yeah.
sense because you can't prepare for loss like that, right? So that's how I'd been living for a long time and I had no idea. And what I learned was my I don't love you was I'm afraid you're going to die. So my defense mechanisms, I'm a survivor. I survive. I got that thing in me. And my brain kicked into like overdrive and said, you're never gonna have to feel that pain again, like you felt when Jeremy died. I mean, I laid in bed for 3 months, I cried.
Jeremy was your
Brother.
brother.
Jeremy's my brother. Yeah, I could really couldn't even take care of my kids. And I think it all went back to a survival thing for me, like on a deep base, very basic level. But I didn't know that until she helped point that out to me. And yeah, we stayed in therapy for like a year and a half, then COVID hit. And then we did something called Imago, relationship therapy on our own,
Hmm.
which was a book and then a workbook. And we committed to like meeting like every Thursday night. We would sit and we would read this book and do the work. And Imago means image. And what we learned is it's almost like you marry your father or your mother. And it's these sensings that we don't realize when we meet somebody. I'm kind of like a love dream crusher, really, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth. It's kind of like I bring the reality that like those butterflies are really this unconscious hope that that person is going to fill your void and
Yeah.
take care of you and all your needs that your parents couldn't.
Mm.
And that's what we were doing. And we got really honest about that and healed those parts in ourselves so that we could be whole and then come to the relationship whole. Because that's what she said too. She said, you got to get whole and you got to get whole. And then you come together whole. You don't make each other whole. It doesn't work.
Wow.
So my grief taught me a lot. That's why I always say grief is a gift, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. Like you, so all those losses, I guess include like so when your brother, when did Jeremy die?
March 2018.
And then how long was this process of that therapy with your husband? Like was that because if you're meeting every week, like that sounds like It was
We
an
did
art.
every week, and then I also did every week on my own, individual. So I was seeing her twice a week basically
Hmm.
for a year and a half. And then he was doing EMDR at the same time with a different therapist
Mm,
because we were like in this process for maybe 4 months, 5 months, and I didn't feel like we were getting anywhere. And Tracy's her name, she said, Jim, you need to do more for your PTSD. Because that was why I'd been asking him to go to marriage counseling before, why we were having problems and I wasn't happy, was because his PTSD, he's a 9/11 first responder. But aside from that, he had trauma, it was just way before that. That just was like, boom, like put on
yeah.
steroids. And he wasn't dealing with it. And I kept telling him, Jim, I think you're getting worse because he was doing talk therapy. And we know talk therapy doesn't work. It's helpful in addition to somatic sort of therapies, right? Rewiring the brain. Trauma lives in the brain. You
Yep.
talk about it, it keeps carving those neural pathways deeper and
Hmm.
deeper.
Hmm.
So finally, this was like I put the screws to him, right? I mean, you put the D word on the table and people kind of move fast, right?
Uh-huh.
So he did EMDR. So I thank him all the time. Like, thank you for doing your work. Because if you didn't, and he's a whole different person now. Like
Hmm.
the energy, like I'm very intuitive. I'm tapped in and aware of how I feel often in my body, in
Yep.
my knowings and all of it. And like I remember like we'd be like me and the kids would be home or whatever, and like I'd hear like the garage door go up that he'd be home. And I would just be like, ugh. Like I just felt something just go, like all the good energy was just like sucked out.
Oh, I thought he meant, oh, like, yo, he's home and alive.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
Like I didn't
God.
want him around. I didn't want to
Mhm.
like do it. I didn't like
Yeah,
he
you were
didn't,
exhausted and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
dude, he didn't come to my brother's funeral because I didn't want him there. Like that's very telling that I did not want my spouse there to support me because it was going to be more trouble. Because he would have to bring the girls, they were very little. He had a hard time managing them alone as babies. Well, they were 4 and 6, but still, he would have had a hard time. And I would have felt like I would have to be like managing his PTSD and making sure that like he's calm and okay. Like it just would have added more stress to a stress. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to grieve like I needed to grieve if he was there. And that's a problem. I mean, this is my husband. I
Girl, I
should,
get it. I get it. You know what? And like, you had compound grief, right?
yeah.
And like, I don't, all those losses are tragic, but I can't imagine what it's like to lose a sibling.
Mm, yeah, it's rough. It's rough. And I didn't realize how close we are to our siblings. Um, like I've had friends who lost siblings,
Yeah.
but I witnessed what went on with them. And maybe somewhere I was like, wow, they're like really overreacting or something, Like before I was in this world and I didn't understand it at all, I may have thought, wow, they're taking it pretty hard. But then when I went through it, it felt like, and this probably happens with a lot of very close parents, children, of course. This like severing. It felt like a physical like severing, even though I know we're still connected in spirit. And then it felt like something being ripped out of me. And I believe it's our soul connection that is always there. But in this physical world, something happens where that cutting of it physically affects me on such a spiritual level that it's like a visceral response.
Hmm.
I still cry. I cried this morning. I was crying in the car because I often cry in the car,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, Jeremy, where are you? Like, help me. Right now, I cry out to him more to like help me through challenging times. But like, even just missing him,
Well, yeah.
just
I mean,
something
it's
that's
your
normal.
sibling, right? Like it's like, you know how like you hear about twins and how they're like basically like, so connected, like
Mm.
they can finish each other's sentences or they think the same. And like my sister and I are like 3.5 years apart, 4 grades apart, and we live in different countries, but often there's like we'll text each other at the same time. We're
Mm.
so connected. Like I did
Yes.
some medicine healing, and one time I had a purge, and I was in BC, like a big vomit. I hate vomiting. I hated it. But I called when I checked in with my sister a few days later. Alana's like, that was so weird. She was on the other side of Canada. She's like, I was just sitting in my apartment. I had this like projectile vomit. I'm like, that's
Wow.
crazy. And the second
Wow.
time I had shot a rainbow out of my heart.
Mm.
there's a whole story there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I checked in with my sister, she was seeing rainbow orbs. And so there's this thing with our siblings that we're like connected because we come from the same, even if we're like, I mean, I feel like it's more connected when we come from the same like mom and dad or one of our parents, like not some, maybe it's the same with adopted siblings. I don't know. I don't have enough to speak on that. But I feel like siblings are so connected.
Hmm.
It's like you're
Yeah.
losing a part of yourself.
Well, I think that personally for me, I think that like what I started saying earlier, one of my major life lessons in missions is to learn how to live with, manage, process loss in a way that it helps me on my road to sovereignty, on my road to being detached from anybody else's validation or anybody else's uh, we need support, of course, but that I'm not relying on somebody else to be there all the time and
Hmm.
to know that I can let go of people and it's like just the letting go. Just really that's like a huge lesson for me is just I just actually put out a Instagram reel about this embracing and letting go. And I call it's a good griever. My therapist taught me that. It's a good griever exercise. It's embracing and letting go,
Yeah.
embracing
Like
and letting
water
go.
off the, like this happened, acknowledge it, goodbye.
And whether it's okay, right? Whatever okay means to you, it's accepting it, really. You don't have to always like it.
Yeah.
But what it's doing for me is it's building, that resilience muscle, and it's building trust and belief in myself that I could stand on my own 2 feet. And then this is what happened with my husband and all the healing we did. You compliment me. You add something to my life. It's not like a desperate attempt to get some need met through a relationship, whether
Yeah.
that's romantic or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that Jeremy's death like awakens me and is helping me through that. And
Wait, so were you
I
sober
agree.
for Jeremy's death?
Yes. Yes. I was 12 years sober and it still affected me that greatly. I was 9 years sober when I moved here and I still had no idea who I was. So this stuff.
Well, no, sorry, like I am interrupting because, well, we
Yeah.
have a time limit, but
Yeah.
also because I just want to talk about this because, so what was your first loss sober?
It was
That was
Mike.
your boyfriend.
Mike at 8 months sober. Yeah.
Okay, so Mike at 8 months sober, and did you have loss before Mike?
Just my grandparents really is the only two close that I
Mm,
can remember like be like affecting me.
yeah.
And my
Okay.
grandmother affected me more than my grandfather. I was
Yeah,
12.
I think we should talk a little. Okay, first of all, also the fact that you and your husband are both sober is such a gift, especially when going through such tragic loss. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to, like, maybe you can echo this, but like, I think one of the biggest gifts I had was my sobriety going through such loss, because I think if not, would I still be here today? I would definitely not be doing this work. Like I have addiction in my body. It's in my genetics, and I was going down a scary path. And so, like, the loss of such important people like my mom and my dad and the baby and my father-in-law, my husband almost dying, like any of those things could have sent me. And I almost relapsed a couple times after my mom died because it took me out. It
Yeah.
took me fucking out. And so, and I didn't. But I can't imagine what went through, what it would have been like if I went through that. And when I'm working with my people, my clients, even on social, like I talk about how sobriety is such a gift.
Hmm.
And like, if you can't stop, first of all, like a lot of people don't even know they have a substance like dependency.
Yeah.
If you decide, oh shoot, I need to stop drinking so I can navigate this, and you can't, I think that's something to look at.
Yeah.
But two, if you have the ability, like the strength to not drink while navigating some of the worst stuff in your life, that to me was one of the biggest tools on getting through.
So I will say the difference is I have God, a higher power, a belief in something greater, a benevolent, beautiful force that is holding me, supporting me, loving me, showing me. I have a connection to that now that I
Yeah.
didn't have before. My awarenesses, my insights, my understandings, my spiritual knowledge, especially, is what has gotten me through this. And if I was drinking, I would be completely cut off from that. I would not have any reason or desire to be seeking a spiritual way of life. I'd probably be dead. I'd probably kill
Yeah.
myself too, because alcohol is a depressant, right? So I would just be depressed and yeah, who knows? Who knows what would have happened? But I think that it's because I have this insight, this intuition, this understanding, especially with my brother, that I believe, not that I chose his death, but that I agreed to go through whatever I had to go through in order to learn these lessons. And we chose to be brothers and sisters. And I think that's why that severing we talked about is so painful. So having these chose that to have the lesson. So the reason why I think I can go through it without an anesthetic, which is freaking painful, is because I have tools now.
Yeah, tools. What do you know?
I have people. I
Yeah.
have a whole group of people that if I picked up my phone right now and I put in the search bar, because I'm in AA, I'm in 12-step recovery, and I put in AA, I'd have 30, 40, 50 names come up.
And you should add my name, not with AA, but just my name, and you have me too.
I have you too, for
Yeah.
sure. Anybody who's sober. We help each other. That's what we do because
Yeah.
it helps us stay sober.
Yeah.
And because we know the pain, we know what it feels like. And only one alcoholic can understand another alcoholic. That's the gift of recovery and having these connections. You feel
Yeah,
safe.
definitely. So we're kind of winding down. I just want to ask, okay, so I think what you shared about your marriage is so important because I witness, like my marriage almost fell apart. Like we were the wounded helping the wounded. Like Shane almost died. His dad died, our baby died. My mom died, my dad died. We sold our home. We sold my mom's home. We moved to be closer to his mom. It's like everything I knew that was stable was no longer there.
Mhm.
And we almost didn't make it, but we got support. And those tools were so valuable. Like we had a couples counselor and whatnot. And Shane in the last few months had a stroke.
I remember you were in the
Yeah.
hospital the night before our
Oh my
recording.
God. See, I don't even remember. That's how much trauma I was in.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I remember interviewing you. I mean, you interviewing me. I just don't remember the time when it happened. So,
Get
but
it.
like he's sober now. And our relationship when he is sober, and he's been sober before, like he's not always using like smoking or whatever he does. I should not out him.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but when you're fully present for your partner, you're able to go deeper in your relationship and move forward. And like, it's such a gift that your husband has been sober with you this entire time. And I think like that's a huge step in making sure you have a solid foundation,
Mhm.
especially
I
when grief happens. Like, they're like, our partner needs to be our pillar. And like, even Shane, when I went through the loss of my dad versus my mom, different. He was like a fully different person. Like, he was able to be there for me. When my mom died, Shane didn't come to my mom's funeral, but it was a different city.
Mhm.
And it was COVID and he's high risk. And his mom was like, I'm scared for him to fly. And I've never said, Shane, I need you. And I was like, I need you. And he's like, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think like for you guys to know that you need to work on your marriage and like become whole individually so you can be whole together is such a beautiful message.
Thank you. And it's huge. And I don't know if
And
we'd still be married if he wasn't willing to look at his part in all of this too. And that's the
right.
basis of recovery, no matter what program you're in. It's being honest with yourself,
Yeah.
looking at yourself and saying, how am I contributing to this situation? And if he was another guy and wasn't willing to do that, he could have been like, what do you mean you don't love me? Get out. Like I could have hurt him
Yeah.
so badly, right? Bruised his
Yeah.
ego so badly, but he knows he needs to look at himself. So, and I married him really, I think, because we had that
Yeah.
foundation, that spiritual foundation.
So, as we wrap up, a couple things. One, where can people find you besides listening to your award-winning podcast, Soul Rising?
Thank you. Yes, Soul Rising, SOL, like the sun. I am at Amanda McKoy Flanagan everywhere, and just check the title, the notes, or whatever for the spelling of my name. It's a little bit different. So that's my website, Instagram, Facebook. Those are really the places. Soul Rising is on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere.
And how can people work with you? Like you do retreats, you do all the things. So you can get Amanda inside your ears today while you're listening to this, it's happening, and her podcast. But you do retreats, you do
I
other
do.
things. What are the things you do?
I coach. I'm a coach. I'm also not just a grief coach, or I call myself a loss and empowerment coach. I really focus on all transitions and how they can serve to empower you.
Mhm.
And I'm also a writing coach. So because of I actually have I do have an English degree, but if anybody knows about English degrees in college, you're not really learning about grammar and all that. You're learning about like 1700 like colonial writing that doesn't it's cool, but doesn't really matter when you're, trying to be a writer. So I do writing coaching, grief coaching, and my retreats are awesome. I do local ones here. I'm in Castle Rock, Colorado. So if you're in the Denver metro area, I do those twice a year, and then I do international and also a 3-night, 4-day retreat at Mount Princeton Hot Springs, which is in Buena Vista here in Colorado as well. We're going to Tulum, Mexico, the last week of April. I'm about half sold on that. So if you're interested and you want to come, go to my website, look at the pictures. It's like a ridiculous house. It's like a villa, beachfront, luxury. I'm like, wait, is this really happening?
Wow, look at what you're building.
Cool.
So all of her links are in the show notes. Now let's end on a piece of advice. What advice do you have for someone who's gone through grief, is in grief, and they want to blow up their marriage, blow up their life?
Don't believe everything you feel. We are very much in this space, right? Taught to trust ourselves, which we should, right? And follow our intuition, our instinct, and follow our hearts, right? But sometimes when there's heavy grief or traumatic loss, like what happened to me, your mind is playing tricks on you to protect you. So just investigate. I'm not saying that what you're thinking is invalid or wrong or whatever. Just investigate before you make any major moves. Don't make any major changes while you're grieving hard.
Brilliant advice. And that's actually advice that goes for everything. Don't make any major changes. Like if you decide you want to leave your marriage, you want to move, you want to quit your job, give yourself time.
This is a year of exploration, right? It's a year of the horse, the movement, the momentum, but it's really about inner movement. So explore the stuff that's coming up for you. There's a reason. Whether you stay or you go in whatever situation you're in, it's worthwhile to explore.
Yeah, like go inwards. Introspection is part of our framework, the Navigating Grief framework, and I is in the GRIEF is introspection and really going inwards. And just, I know sometimes you just want to blow it all up, but just go inwards. Wait, you're such a joy. I'm so excited for our budding friendship.
Yes.
Amanda's amazing, and thank you. You're amazing. So thank you for coming on this episode with me.
Thank you, Blair. Thanks for having me. And thanks everybody for listening or watching or whatever you're doing out there. Hopefully
Yeah.
it's helping with you.
Thank you for everyone who spent some time with us.
Yeah.
And yes, and thank you to our community, our listeners, our guests, our readers, our co-authors. Listen, life's hard. You don't have to go through the hard shit alone. That's why we exist. We built this community so that we can hold your hand through the darkness. We can be that light at the end of the tunnel. Just put one foot in front of each other, take one step at a time. And just remember, friends, you are resilient AF. That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward?
Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are resilient AF.